MGH, stop touching me like that. I found myself squeezed against a burly man during a trip. Being naturally sensitive, his touch was overwhelmingly stimulating. I could not help but tremble and pant beside him. However, I never expected that halfway through the journey, he would eagerly lift me onto his lap. The seat's so hard. Your butt must be sore. Let me give you a proper massage. By the end of the trip, he had taken everything from me. My name is Grace Ashton, and I am a dance instructor. Having studied ballet since childhood, my body was more flexible and sensitive than most women's. That was why I barely interacted with male classmates at school and always wore dull, heavy clothes. Even the slightest physical contact would send waves of heat through my body and stir my desires. This hypersensitivity made me too afraid to date. I was terrified that my potential boyfriend would think I was loose. However, after suppressing myself for so long, I grew utterly exhausted and decided to travel to relax. I picked out a breezy, sultry miniskirt as I looked forward to my trip. Unexpectedly, I was starting the trip in a long-distance bus packed with men. They stared at me in silence. Their gazes lingered unabashedly on my half-exposed chest and slender bare legs. The intensity of their stares felt almost tangible, almost like their eyes were touching my skin and stripping me naked before them. My instinct was to get off the bus, but I could not bear giving up on my vacation. So I steeled myself and found my seat. It was next to a burly man. He eagerly made room for me. But once I got seated, I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles. It was so cramped that I was practically pressed against him. My bare legs would brush against his trouser leg at the slightest movement. If he raised his arm, he could easily pull my entire body into his arms. Every time the carriage swayed, my soft body would brush against his arm. I curled up and felt like crying as I prayed that I would not be so sensitive. The man knew nothing of my discomfort and enthusiastically struck up a conversation. I learned that his name was Wyatt Crude, and he was a construction worker. We were headed to the same destination. This meant that I would spend the entire day and night's journey with him. Wyatt saw me huddled up as I desperately kept my distance from him. Don't worry, I may be a rough guy, but I'd never make a pass at you. There's no need to be so anxious, he assured me. His words made me blush with embarrassment. I was not afraid that he would harass me. It was because my body was so uniquely sensitive, especially around a ruggedly masculine man like him. If we accidentally made physical contact, my reaction would be intense. If he ever discovered my secret, it would be utterly humiliating. So I forced myself to stay calm and explain to Wyatt, "You've misunderstood, Wyatt. I'm just worried about being oversensitized." Wyatt did not quite grasp what I meant by being oversensitized, but he did not press the issue. I breathed a sigh of relief and leaned against the window as I slowly closed my eyes. After all, the ride was far from over, and sleep was the best way to pass the time. However, I had barely closed my eyes when the vehicle began jolting violently. My eyes snapped open instantly, and I gripped the seat in front of me tightly. I was terrified of being tossed about. When I saw Wyatt sleeping soundly beside me, I exhaled in relief. Suddenly, the wheel seemed to hit a large rock, which caused the bus to tilt sharply. Caught off guard, my grip slipped. I tumbled toward Wyatt, and my thigh ended up pressed against him. The moment our skin touched, electricity shot up my thigh and went straight to the top of my head. A gasp escaped my lips before I could stop it. The heat in my lower abdomen flared up, every pore on my body opened wide. The aching tension inside made me feel a sudden urge to pee. At that moment, I knew I was done for. The heat seeping between my legs filled me with shame, and I quickly clamped my legs together. I was terrified that Wyatt would notice something unusual. Thankfully, he was still asleep, and he showed no signs of waking up. I quietly shifted my hips to the side as I bit my lip to steady myself. However, physical sensations were not something you could suppress at will, especially on such an uneven road. The bus bumped up and down relentlessly. It kept teasing at my sensitive spots till I let out a few soft moans. I clenched my fists as I desperately tried to stay composed and tough it out. Yet, despite my best efforts to stay quiet, Wyatt